Thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Waugh for 5 minutes.
Mr. Smith, June 20th, I called you out and saying it's a cover-up and you own it. And at least today you admitted you've started to own it. Hockey Canada has a problem. I've been a broadcaster before I was an MP, as you know, for over 40 years. I covered the Western Hockey League extensively. I am very happy you're doing a full governance review. I've had dozens of calls from agents, from players, citing Bob Nicholson, Tom Rennie, and yourself. It is top-down in Hockey Canada. You are the biggest sport organization this country has. Part of the problem I'm hearing is the board is not connected with the CEOs. Bob Nicholson told the board, I'm doing this, follow me. Tom Rennie only had a few years, the same. Now you're in the chair. I hope the governance review would follow other national sport organizations in this country, giving the board of directors the power over the CEOs. Bob Nicholson, Tom Rennie, and you are too powerful. The boards of hockey need to take this over. Canadians coast to coast know this. Players, agents, coaches, general managers, the Canadian Hockey League knows this. They keep things from Hockey Canada. I'm going to get into this with David Branch, Gilles Courteau, and Ron Robison later. Hockey Canada needs to change at the board level, Mr. Scott Smith. This is where it has to start. The board has to control Hockey Canada. What Bob Nicholson, Tom Rennie, and now you is not working. Canadians have told you this. They've lost trust. The only trust that you are going to get back from mom and dads and players is that the board direct you as the CEO. Can we get that assurance from you? I know you've just took over for the last month, but we saw it with Nicholson, Rennie. We don't want to see the same leadership from you. Canadians have asked that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I would like to clarify that I certainly take ownership for some things that we could have done better through the process. I did not take ownership of a cover-up, so I want to be clear on that.
I called you out on that. Thank you.
I serve at the pleasure of the board, and I report to the board of directors. I am 100% accountable to them. I think if you spoke to our board, that they would tell you that I, as well as our senior management staff, provide to them good counsel on the day-to-day operations. But as the governors of our organization, they have the ability to set the direction from their level. So I serve at the pleasure of the board of directors. And I went through an extensive process in negotiating my agreement with the personnel committee, but the full board is aware of that, and I serve at their pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm hearing for 2018 board members, they weren't consulted, just the chair. The chair kept it between, at that time, Tom Rennie and the chair of Hockey Canada. It does not come down to the board members, and that's wrong. The governance is wrong. And as the most powerful sport organization in this country, it must change. It must change.
So if I may, Mr. Chair, as I said, the current board of directors, all of them have a copy of the report. The board of directors...
But the problem is they were not consulted. In fact, Mr. McCurdy said it. Well, you're flying back to Calgary. He should have been phoning the board. We need an emergency meeting on June 19th. That didn't happen. Instead, you're flying back to Calgary when Mr. McCurdy should have called an emergency or had you or Mr. Rennie called an emergency meeting with the Board of Governors, with the Hockey Canada, and that's not happened.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think if you look at our action plan, and our Board of Directors have had input and endorsed the action plan, we're looking at a full governance review.
I get
that. If there are improvements and better ways for our organization, then we're certainly prepared to accept that.
Let me ask one last question, Mr. Smith. Do you not think the board should have been involved on June 19th when the phone call went to Mr. Glenn McCurdy? Do you not think the head of Hockey Canada Board of Governors, along with the rest of the Board of Governors, should have been involved immediately on June 19th when that phone call went to Mr. McCurdy. Instead, they were left out of the dark for probably weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My recollection is that the chair of the board was advised on June 19th, and that within a week we did have an update call with the board of directors where they were briefed.
Do you not think it should have happened June 19th or June 20th instead of a week later?
Thank you, Kevin. If you can answer that in a couple seconds, go ahead.